Rugby World Cup will be held here in Cape Town. The Commonwealth Judo Championship will be held in Gqeberha. The inaugural Down Syndrome World Gymnastics Championship will be held in the city of Tshwane. In exactly 80 days from today, South Africa plays host to the Netball World Cup from 28th to the 6th of August 2023, demonstrating the commitment to the advancement of sport, particularly for women in the country. This is another historical moment, as it is for the first time that the event is hosted on the African soil. This all-women event will also have an all-female television crew. Major progress has been made with the preparation of the Netball Cup, with the milestones already celebrated, such as the launch of a Netball Friday. The Netball World Cup 2023 Trophy Tour will kick off in KwaZulu-Natal on Africa Day, 25th of May, 2023, traveling through all provinces and ending in the Western Cape, Cape Town, on the 12th of July. In addition to the above hosted events, the international sport calendar of 2023-2024 will be busy with South African teams participating in following international events: FIFA Women's World Cup to be held in Australia and New Zealand, Commonwealth Youth Games to be held in Trinidad and Tobago, Rugby World Cup to be held in France, where we're defending our World Championship title, to be held from the 8th of September to the 28th of October. The 13 African Games to be held in 3 cities in Ghana in March of 2024. During the 2022-2023 financial years, women athletes dominated international scene, which saw department recognize Banyana Banyana for their excellent performance as they were crowned champions of the 2022 Women's African Cup of Nations. The ultimate recognition of excellence was during the 16th edition of South African Sport Awards recently held at Sun City in Northwest, where the history was made as the Sports Star of the Year award went to the female football athlete, Ms. Andile Dlamini. The department will continue to collaborate with G Sport Foundation in recognizing South African women in sport through G Sport Awards held annually during Women's Month. While celebrating the milestone achieved, the department pledged dedicated financial support to Cricket South Africa over the next 3 years to establish Women's Cricket League, which will go a long way in the professionalization of women's cricket. Clubs are the fundamental building blocks or primary units in sport development continuum, coming as they do at the lowest rank of the hierarchy of sport structures. They are in the closest proximity and in the most advantageous position in any community to add value and to make difference in the lives of their citizens. A club is generally regarded as a foundation of structured sport in South Africa. A blueprint will be developed that will guide all provinces on the club development program. We currently invest over 118 million on the conditional grant allocation towards the club development program. National federations must take responsibility to ensure that the growth of their sport is supported by a well-developed club system. We are firm in our belief that for any country to prosper in sport, it must be rooted in the strong foundation of development at grassroots. And as such, sport in schools is the bedrock of our sport in South Africa. We had allocated 229 million from the conditional grant to school sport. The memorandum with Department of Basic Education has been finalized in this regard, Chairperson. The Minister of DPE and myself will sign this memorandum soon. Through Sport Ambassadors Program, we hope to see school sport leagues being fully rolled out and mentored by sport ambassadors, which will fully participate to assist these learners. I am pleased today that one of the sport ambassadors has joined us as we present this budget vote, Mr. Lucas Radebe. We were able to successfully host a Winter Champions in July of 2022 in 7 sporting codes and 2 indigenous games. The Winter Games had 52% male representation and 48% female representation. The total number of athletes with disability who took part at the Winter Games was 322, representing 17% of the total participation. Then the Summer Championships took place in December of 2022 with provinces competing in sporting codes and 2 indigenous games. It was pleasing to note that 52% were female athletes with 42% of male athletes. These games were so inclusive that although the national prevalence of people with disability is 7.5%, the summer games had a total representation of 28% athletes with disability. All 9 provinces sent their top schools who competed to represent the country at the CAF Schools tournament. The winners of this segment were Edendale Technical School for girls and Clapham High School for boys team. We wish to congratulate both schools for winning the national tournament and further representing South Africa at COSAFA and CAF Schools respectively. They went all the way to the finals, losing to penalties against Guinea. We say well done to Clapham High School for flying South African flag high. We are indeed proud of you, and in you we see the future Bafana Bafana and global stars. In 2024, we hope to increase learners' access to sport at schools by supporting 75,000 learners to participate in district school sports championship and 5,000 learners in the National School Sports Championship, and by providing equipment and attire to 2,500 schools, hubs, and clubs. Over the medium term, 275,000 learners would have participated in district school sports championship and 20,000 in National School Sports Championship by March 2024. To ensure existence of infrastructure enabling the achievement of our mandate in arts and culture heritage sector, the department allocated 193 million to 16 entities to implement infrastructure projects ranging from construction, upgrading, refurbishment, and maintenance of their facilities. Beyond the transfer of these funds for entities, the department also provides construction project management support to ensure effective implementation of their infrastructure. One of the beneficiaries of the municipal infrastructure grant funding is Umlalazi local municipality. A project approved in this municipality is the construction of Tep Makhathini Boxing Center, which is an initiative to honor a well-celebrated local living boxing legend, Mr. Elijah Kulu, affectionately known as Tep Makhathini. His dream is to contribute to the development of boxing, especially in his community, and to promote it as one of the most attractive and preferred sporting codes. Consultation with Mr. Kulu and relevant stakeholders started from as far back as May 2022. We are delighted that the department has made an allocation of 15 million for this project. 10 outdoor gyms and children's play parks will be built this year, in this financial year. And the majority of these will be in rural areas under the jurisdiction of traditional authorities to ensure that rural communities are not deprived of opportunities and services offered by these facilities. I will be launching the first of this kind in Kwandamase, Enyandeni Great Place in June of this year, which is next month, with a total budget of 5 million that has been allocated for this facility. Kwandamase is under King Damasek and Damasek. Over and above, a provision of outdoor gyms, my department, in consultation with the kings and queens, will be declaring great places as heritage sites of historic significance. Whilst the 2020 mapping shows that the direct impact of cultural creative industry in 2018 was 74 billion, which accounts for 1.7% of South Africa's GDP. In 2022, this contribution is 161 billion. Cabinet approved the Cultural Creative Industry Master Plan in August of 2022. Following that, the department conducted provincial sessions in all provinces to enable all stakeholders to input into the implementation plan. This has been finalized, and the short to the medium term, as depicted in the master plan, will be implemented this year. I'm happy to announce that the Business Arts South Africa DP program has produced 24 solid creative arts entrepreneurs, with 300 creatives being exposed to this program. Film and documentaries involves highly creative activities, wherein a task is given to arts practitioners to produce 10 documentaries of unsung African heroes and heroines. Last financial year, this culminated in the production of an anthology titled Not All Heroes Wear Caps. These documentaries will be showcased during the Heritage Month in the current financial year. A budget of 5 million has been allocated for this. There is a National Academy of Africa's Performing Arts, which is an initiative of Caiphas and Letam Semenya, and is almost complete, with a minor touch-ups on construction, supported by this department. It will offer the professional arts training in music, dance, and drama. The other program is run by the veteran Silo Mageka. The other program is run by Tato Molamu, the young creative director and a celebrated actor who refers to himself as a social entrepreneur. The other program is the Mambazo Mobile Academy. It's run by the multiple Grammy Award winners, Lady Smith Blake Mambazo, which was a brainchild and a vision of the late Joseph Shabalala, among others. Once again, the department is pleased to announce that it will take South Africa's authors to participate at the 2023 Gothenburg Book Fair in Sweden, following the 2022 successful participation as guest of honor at the book fair, where more than 20 authors and publishers from SA participated. Among those authors are the following: Professor Wallace Rote, Cindy Makona, Tandokazi Kunene, and Thokozani Josini. The latter are young co-authors of the book, Corey in the Universe, a children's book on COVID-19. The department has been allocated a budget of 462 million this financial year to continue creating jobs cultural activity within the jobs cultural creative industry, and a total of 40,000 jobs will be created through employment multiplier model used to create jobs in this industry. Celebrating our own, I've recently organized the Grammy Awards winners for their work and raised the South African flag high among the nations of the world. The recognition was not only for the latest winners, but since the first recipient of the award, the late Mama Mary Makeba. I've instructed my department officials to develop creative industry awards similar to sport awards. Further, the department is pursuing opportunities to bring the Grammy Awards to South Africa to profile artists and create market access opportunities. To this end, the Recording Academy has subsequently submitted a memorandum of understanding, which we are consulting on with the relevant stakeholders. The importance of these issues, as I raised them, Chairperson, among others, through community conversation, our social cohesion advocates will continue to engage communities in pertinent social cohesion issues. One issue that has been raised is outstanding 2 bills that are before the Select Committee of the NCOP. I am pleased to announce that there is a commitment from Select Committee that the Performance Amendment Bill and the Copyright Amendment Bill will be finalized by the end of this month, May 2023, in 2 weeks' time, which will bring an end to exploitation by producers and agencies, and it will also help to regulate the industry. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I'm left with 1 second.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next speaker is the Honorable Dlulane.
Maiden speech, Honorable Longo. Good afternoon, Molweni, Ninjani. Let me take this opportunity to greet you, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister Zizi Kodwa, Deputy Minister Nokawe Mafu Nonzabo, honorable members, our guests, and everyone who are listening to this debate of today. The ANC vision for the South African arts and culture is guided by the Freedom Charter that open course doors of learning and culture shall be opened where the government shall discover, develop and encourage national talent for the enhancement of our cultural life, I close quote. The sports and arts are important for social cohesion and nation building. It is also critical for our well-being. The 6th administration has not been without its challenges that have negatively impacted the country's vision towards attaining its goal as enshrined in the National Development Plan of 2030. In 2020, we were confronted by the COVID-19 pandemic, which had devastating impact on the lives and livelihoods of athletes and artists. We saw artists occupying the National Arts Council demanding accountability on the distribution of relief funds and the presidential stimulus package to the creative sector. And as a caring parliament, we took a stance to meet with the affected artists to listen to their concern. Honorable Chairperson, as a committee, we took zero tolerance to any form of poor governance and maladministration, and therefore applied pressure on the department to implement corrective measures. A forensic investigation was launched into the matter, and responsible parties were relieved after their responsibility. This is in line with the ANC commitment of combating corruption and addressing poor governance. Honorable Chairperson, significant strides have been made by the department, ensuring that over 4,700 schools and clubs were provided with sports equipment and attire in the last financial year, and over 100,000 learners participating in district school sport tournaments. These needs to be greater efforts in ensuring that majority of our 12 million scholars have an opportunity to participate in the sport and arts. Sport not only benefits the long-term physical health and well-being of a child, but also improves their cognitive ability, teamwork, leadership, and many more life skills they will use when they reach adulthood and when they reach adulthood and in their future careers. Honorable Chairperson, the underfunding of national federation remains a concern from our side, as over 70 national sport federations have to share only 100 million of the annual budget. This underfund limits the federation efforts in achieving their transformation targets. We therefore call for more funding for national federations to ensure that they expose their sport codes in townships and rural areas. Honorable Chair, the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide continues to destroy our society, where we see women and children being attacked, sexually assaulted, or even killed. Such incidents are immorally inhuman and need to be combated in our society. We call on the department and the broader society to ensure that they work together with all stakeholders in sport and creatives sector and ensure that GBV awareness campaign form part of all the sport and arts and culture events. Another notable achievement that we applaud the department is for implementing guidelines and ensuring a proper and safe return to sport post-COVID. Today, we can attest that sport has fully returned to the pre-COVID levels. Chairperson, we are proud to also announce that South Africa continues to be a trendsetter in terms of hosting international events. In 2023, we have successfully hosted World Indoor Hockey Championships, the Women's Cricket World Cup in Cape Town. The city of Durban is also about to host the World Table Tennis Championships. And also we look forward to the much anticipated Netball World Cup that will take place in Cape Town in this next month. I wish that one day before the July, we can have a snap debate about that. We recognize SAFA's interest in bidding for 2027 Women's Football World Cup, of which we have no doubt that will make it a success, Honorable the Ministry. We support those efforts as the sports economy is a significant and growing economic sector. It promotes sports tourism, which is good for job creation. We welcome this continuous progress by the government. We again applaud the government for the good distribution of the social relief funds and the presidents for availing the fourth batch of the presidential employment stimulus package, whereby funds will be distributed to the artists and their organization to create, maintain employment in the creative. As I've said, when in my above, I was contributing that immediately that we have seen that the first one, it did not go well. We, as the committee at large, we took that and through the department, we have seen the culprits who manipulated that, they've taken to books. In 2023-24, the department aims to create 12,000 job opportunities across the work stream and cultural development programs of the Mzansi Golden Economy Strategy and 40,000 job opportunities through the Presidential Employment Initiative. Honorable Chairperson, majority of sport codes internationally generate revenue through the sale of broadcasting rights, and would like to make a call to the National Broadcasting SSABC to secure the rights to broadcast our national teams live on TV. The equitable distribution of sports sponsorship for women in our concern, which requires a social combat. We would like to congratulate our young athletes on dominating the African Junior Athletics Championship with win in Zambia recently. The team came first by winning the most medals at the championship. Chairperson, the committee has recommended that the department, together with the National Economic Development and the Labour Council, should ensure that this combat is urgently signed. The department should heed the recommendation of the AG of South Africa to improve audit outcomes across the portfolio. The department should revisit its engagement with the Davis Tax Committee for the inclusion of the arts into Section 18A of the Income Tax Act, encouraging donation to the sector. We are hoping that all what we ask and propose as a committee, our ministry will not disappoint us. Wandihlala phansi kule nyanga ekuthiwa yinyanga yama-Afrika, ebengike ndabona ministry that kukhona i-holiday eqalwayo ye-ancestors. Ke mina njengoMadlomo Sophishi uNgqolomsila, as individual, I can support that fully. Thina siyi-ANC siyayisupporta le budget vote hlahlobiwe mali amandla.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Mhlongo.
Thank you, Chairperson. Sanibonani, Dumelang. I'd like to congratulate Athletics South Africa for the winning of the championship, Federation Africa Athletes Under 18 and Under 20 Championship. We call upon the Minister to ensure adequate support is provided for our athletes in order to prepare for 2024 Olympics. Minister, we congratulate you on a stand for school sports. This is vital that we see the implementation of school sports in South Africa and the outcome therefore. We'll monitor that and we'll see that. Minister, we hope that your speech, it's not a talk show speech, just it's an implementation speech. You've just arrived, Minister, and I hope you'll implement this because your predecessor, Ubaba Mthethwa, akazange implement school sport at all. Nonetheless, we hope ukuthi uzokwenza lokho. Minister, these are the issues that you can run with and you'll have my support. If you fail, we'll call for a red card for you. But nonetheless, it is important for us to have Indaba, soccer Indaba. It's so important that we have soccer Indaba. Check, PSL has boycotted SAFA. What is happening? Bafana are not performing well. CEO has resigned today. The next day you get a new CEO. You are running SAFA like a spaza shop. What is happening? It's uncalled for and it's wrong, Minister. You run with those issues, you'll have my support. We don't need dictatorship in sports. We don't need censorship in sports. What we need good governance, especially with SAFA. Chairperson, 40 million rand has been directed to a Love Life, and we believe that money must be redirected. Today, the Minister of Health spoke about Love Life. They receive money from sports, they receive money from health and other departments. 40 million rand can be redirected to school sports. Utoya Itanda, it's your priority, we'll see that. Chairperson, you can implement this. Minister, send the money to school sports, for an example, have Amafields Stadium, Ebisho, Elusigisigi, and other rural areas. For the past 10 years, the department has failed us by using this money to the Love Life. I think this Love Life, maybe Minister must investigate. Maybe they are linked to the ANC. They're getting more money, no service delivery. It's uncalled for. But nonetheless, Minister, I see one of your priorities is EU development, but there's no allocation. Oh,
Continue, honorable member.
oh, apologies. Thank you. Minister, please can you explain what is happening with the MGE funding? People have applied, but they don't get a response. For an example, Mr. Majakatata has applied, he's not a beneficiary to date. It is uncalled for. One of the things that you must note, tell your colleagues, for an example, Minister Pando must apologize to our artists. It is totally wrong to say arts is not important. Now, the ANC, it shows what they don't care. Arts is so important. You spoke on your speech, it create jobs, there's the tourism. But nonetheless, let me go to Boxing South Africa. Boxing South Africa, we need leadership. There's a lack of leadership with Boxing South Africa. We have acting people in Hollywood. It's uncalled for. We need a permanent CEO with Boxing South Africa and must regulate the boxing sector. And they review their model, their money. I think we need more money for boxing in South Africa. Chairperson, Minister, there are projects whereby people from Soweto, they don't benefit, but they've applied. There's a project, Ebizwa, Send a Child to Theater. It creates an awareness for us, young people to experience a theater at that level, but they don't benefit. And for information, they've applied and they did not benefit. Wellness for our artists. It is shocking, Chairperson, to see what our artists are not taken care of. You've just appointed a new company, which is linked to the ANC, a workforce. There was a company, it was in Dingilizi. Then Dingilizi made it, it was a pilot project, and to date, there's nothing is happening. I can tell you, Deputy Chief, one of the directors, two directors are ANC big shots. This is linked ANC company, and it's uncalled for us to not make sure that our artists are benefiting. For an example, Indingilizi had a 3-year contract. They've performed, but we don't have a closing report. Are you telling us that we appoint a new form of a company and experience? For an example, this workforce, they don't have experience wellness. I went to their site, and it's uncalled for. ANC must care for our artists. One of the things that I want to put to you, Chair, the DA understand what is service delivery. Mgeni municipality has offered a stadium.
Honorable member, your time has expired.
Yabo.
Thank you. The next speaker is the Honorable Madlingozi. Order, honorable members.
Thank you, Chairperson. I want to say power to the fearless leadership of the economic freedom fighters, the commissars, fighters, ground forces, everyone, apparently, Chairperson, For the past 29 years, the ANC has not had a single original idea of what exactly needs to be done to reimagine the role of the arts in this country, nor have they developed a single coherent plan for the development of sports in the country. Today, this very same house is still unsure of what is exactly needed to be done to protect the interests of creatives who have spared no sweat or blood in pouring themselves and their talents in service of the creative industry in this country. The department has shown little interest in tightening the protections for artists in the bill in front of this parliament. And those in leadership have allowed the industry to dictate the levels to which the bill in front of this house must provide protections to creatives. Many of our veteran creatives are now languishing in poverty. Take shows such as Yizo Yizo, for instance, which is now showing on Netflix. Ask yourselves, who is benefiting from Netflix deal? It is surely not the artists, but a few of those who control and manage the production companies. The actors see themselves on TV and they are benefiting nothing. The same goes for shows such as Good is Nice and many others. The department has not done anything to come to the assistance of all those creatives, old and new. Chairperson, it is a reality that ever since the COVID pandemic, creatives are still in a very serious crisis mode. Money is meant to aid artists and other creatives has disappeared through these PESP initiatives. This sector is riddled with litigation. The department is forever fighting against covering its entities against accusations of money mismanagement and embezzlement. The Robben Island Museum is thoroughly mismanaged, and there has been no grand imagination of what that site could be used for in advancing not only our knowledge of history, but also to nurture a sense of national pride and rededication to the ideal of decolonization of society. But the museum, as with many others under the department, is thoroughly mismanaged and used for political point scoring. Jafta Masimula spent 30 years in that island, but because he was from the PAC, he is not talked about much. And that island is made to seem that it only housed the freedom fighters from the ANC. This year marked 150 years since Chief Makoma was killed in that island for fighting against colonial land dispossession. His name is relegated to the dustbin of history by those now in power. Chairperson, the less said about sports, the better. This department has not done a single notable thing to develop sport in the country. Rugby and cricket remain untransformed. Boxing has been systematically collapsed, and football is degenerating every single year. It is an open secret that whites would still prefer to have all white players in sporting codes that previously were dominated by white people. The department is yet to implement the white papers that was introduced during the 5th Parliament. This white paper would have helped position the arts and culture sector in a much better stead than it is today. Chairperson, this department has more acting officials than permanent ones. None of these acting individuals can be held accountable, thereby social delivery suffers. We need to urgently reimagine the role played by this department. It is not serving any of the constituencies it is meant to service. The cultural landscape in this country is still dominated by Dutch and English settler influences. Our languages are still treated as second-class languages, and colonial monuments are celebrated at the expense of our own. The EFF therefore rejects this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Lutuli.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everybody. The Department of Sport, Art and Culture over the past years has been made infamous for the poor quality of programs that it has intended to fund. Initially, the controversy started with the proposed 22 billion flag project. So, project that flag, a flag in a bed. It destroys any hope for South African citizens having in the government ability to make the right decision within the public fund in ways that the actual creation and enabling environment for investment, growth, and social cohesion. Statements like this within the public space and are dangerous, and in fact, it does against the very green and social cohesion initiative. The programs emanated from the department seems to be out of touch with the need of the South African population, as it was announced that the South Africa would be investing in the United States, in the United Kingdom Football Club. This happened at the time South Africa had started tightening their belt as they prepare to make of the worst economy period which the country has faced since democracy. In dealing with the budget on the department, we are left with very little hope, as the current and the new minister had been left to toe the line of a poor legacy. It is disappointing that the department has yet to prioritize many sport federations, especially as we are coming up on Olympic qualifications. Earlier this year, I wrote to the department on behalf of the gentleman, Mr. Moses, for funding in order to take part and captain the Black Ball Nation Cup held in England. And the response by the department is that there is no funding available. Honorable Chair, these are initial data the government could be looking to support where our own citizens feel that the taxpayers' money are spent in a constructive way for the people benefit. This need to be tangible program that actually give back to recognize and grow our local talents. The IFP remains concerned that the spending of the department in promotion, sport, art, and culture will indeed tend to vain. We must encourage the department to ensure that building boxing South Africa and karate remains at the top of the priority list of this institute can be set on as a part of running independent and take these decisions for their own interest. On the other hand, the IFP support the initiative to fund more programs that promote diversity, such as gender representation. To make the change, we require this department, the minister and the staff must actively to take note of the recommendation made by the Auditor General and work towards the rebuilding the confidence of the people of South Africa. The IFP support, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Wessels.
Thank you, Honorable House Chairperson. House Chair, getting rid of Nathi Ntetwa was probably the best thing that has ever happened to sport, arts, and culture in this country. His legacy, Chairperson, is money that was misappropriated, stolen, that was intended to provide relief to artists, as the Honorable Chairperson of the committee pointed out. His legacy is failed school sport infrastructure projects. His legacy is failed sport bodies, mismanaged sports bodies, and athletes, especially disabled athletes, that are excluded from participation in sport codes internationally because of the mismanagement by his department under his leadership. Chairperson, but an even better thing that could happen to sport, arts, and culture in this country is if we get rid of the ANC in entirety. For then we can start building a department that respects the cultural history of all South Africans, a department that supports the arts without stealing the very bread from those artists' mouths. It could be a department that makes it its business to oversee the proper maintenance and protection of our heritage sites. Because, Honorable Minister, it doesn't help that you declare new heritage sites, whilst your department and government in its entirety are destroying and allowing the destruction of current heritage sites. Chairperson, we also need a department that has and that protects art institutions such as museums and theaters and sports facilities, and ensures that they are properly run and where funds are properly allocated and are not mismanaged. House Chairperson, this could be possible if we have a government that is a real custodian of sport, arts, and culture for all South Africans out there. Chairperson, if we look at the department's mandate, we see that amongst other, it is to provide leadership to the sport, arts, and culture sector, to accelerate its transformation, oversee the development and management of sport, arts, and culture in South Africa, legislate on sports participation, sports infrastructure and safety, and to improve South Africa's international ranking in selected sports. With transformation is also included the need to promote participation of disabled persons on all levels of sport, arts, and culture promotion. But in contrast, Chairperson, to this shining, over-promising mandate, disabled athletes are barred from taking part in international competitions, and their world records are not recognized because this department cannot ensure the proper management of sport bodies like the SASA II. This is a shame, and the department should acknowledge this. The former minister did not use his powers of oversight to intervene and to ensure the participation of these athletes. I really hope, Minister Katwa, that you will not follow your predecessor's example, but that you will be serious about the mandate of your department. Agbare voorsitter, sport in Suid-Afrika is onder beleg as gevolg van onnodige politieke inmenging. U sien, die regering moenie by sport inmeng nie, maar moet sorg dat daar ontwikkeling plaasvind. En dit is veral op skoolvlak so. Ons verwelkom die feit dat daar wel fondse bewillig word vir fasiliteite veral in die mees arm gemeenskappe. Maar dan moet daardie projekte uitgevoer word, voorsitter, en moet daar nie toegelaat word dat daar net gesteel word nie. U sien, sport kan regmaak wat politiek breek, maar ongelukkig op die oomblik is politiek besig om sport te breek. Ek dank u.
The next speaker is the Honorable Deputy Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture.
House Chairperson, Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Honorable Goodenough Ncediso Zizikodwa, Deputy Speaker present here, Deputy Ministers present, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Sport, Arts and Culture, Honorable Beauty Dlulane Mahlomo, Honorable Members, Chairperson and Chief Executives of Public Entities, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. The budget here today is being presented in the context of the Africa Month and the two important historical anniversaries. First, the 30th anniversary since the passing of our struggle icon, Tato Oliver Reginald Tambo. Secondly, the untimely departure of the beloved son of the soil, Chris Tembisileani, who also left us 30 years ago, just as we were set for the all-important general elections in 1994. Today, as we commend this budget to the House, it is appropriate that we pause and remember them. In this budget vote, we report on progress against commitments made in the preceding financial year and spell out plans for the 2023-24 financial year. In the area of heritage, preservation and promotion, the department made great strides. Firstly, I'm delighted to report to this House that we have completed the restoration of the Winnie Madikizela Mandela House in the Free State and have installed an exhibition in a town now known as Winnie Mandela. Upon completion, the department has handed over the house memorial to the Free State Department of Sport, Arts and Culture and Recreation. This newly completed museum is being equipped with modern state-of-the-art information and communication technology equipment. The province now is in the process of operationalizing the memorial as a museum. As part of the second phase, the department has appointed a service provider who is in the process of preserving and protecting the clinic that was bombed in the 80s by the apartheid government. The bombed clinic will be part of the interpretation space that will narrate the life and experience of Mama Winnie in the then Brantford. The clinic will be completed in this current financial year. For that purpose, an amount of 5 million has been set aside. The construction of the OR Tambo Garden of Remembrance was completed. The department is finalizing the installation of the ICT equipment library that will serve as a resource service center to the local communities. The beneficiaries in the main will be the learners and out of school youth in the community, as well as those in the neighboring communities. The challenge, however, has been around ensuring that the site is fully operational. In that regard, the current plan is that it would be incorporated into the management and operations of Nelson Mandela Museum for a period of 3 years, while its actual launch is scheduled for October this year. In 2022, the Council for Iziko Museum of South Africa approved for the co-integration of the Nelson Mandela House complex located at the former Victor Verster prison, now known as Drakenstein Correctional Center. In 2020, Lilliesleaf had to close due to COVID-19 pandemic. The closure was also necessitated by perennial operational challenges at the time. Given the situation, the department engaged the National Treasury, who granted the department permission to provide relief assistance of 12 million. Lilies Leaf Museum is currently fully operational, and for the current financial year, an allocation of 8 million has been made towards operations through Freedom Park. In consultation with the relevant provinces and the National Heritage Council, the department is in the process of implementing recommendation of the feasibility studies for design and installation of exhibitions in Bisho Massacre Site, Vaihook Wesleyan Church, and Victor Festa Nelson Mandela Prison House. The department has set aside an amount of 6 million for the design and installation process of the 3 sites. Regarding transformation and preservation of our heritage landscape, the department will ensure finalization of the construction of the Sarah Bartman Center of Remembrance in Hanke, in the Eastern Cape, and an allocation of 82 million has been put aside. The second capital project is the upgrading of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning and fire protection system at the National Archive building in Pretoria. And this project is allocated 55 million. And the last project is Enyokeni Cultural Precinct in Nongoma. And here an allocation of 57 million has been made. Cabinet has approved the country-to-country approach for repatriation of human remains of the fallen liberation fighters and the construction of monuments to recognize and appreciate the contribution of other countries in our liberation struggle. In this current financial year, the department will embark on a process for identification, survey, and mapping of heritage sites, including graves in the SADC region, and 3 million has put aside for this purpose. Honorable members, in terms of digitization of archival records, phenomenal work was done with some noteworthy achievements. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission audio tapes target was 90. The department was able to digitize not less than 1,700. There was also a set target of 150 treason trial databases to be digitized, and the department has managed to digitize 463. Against the set target of 30,000 general archival records, the department was able to digitize 106,773, which included records and photographs. The overachievement in this area was made possible by the employment of Presidential Employment Stimulus Program interns, departmental interns, as well as partnerships with other institutions. For the current financial year, the target for treason trial databases is 200, the TRC audio tapes is 100, and the general archival records is 30,000. On the 29 targeted libraries, the department was able to support 31 newly built and or modular libraries. In this current financial year, the department will support 32 newly built and or modular libraries to the tune of 1.5 billion. The funds will be utilized for infrastructure projects, among other library services implemented by the provinces, including, for example, library material, information and communication technologies, infrastructure and equipment, compensation of employees, establishment of visual impaired services, and reading programs. Honorable members, the department continues with the project to transform South Africa's naming landscape. During the 2022-23 financial year, 3 gazettes were published with geographical names that were standardized and changed. The notable names changed are from the Eastern Cape, namely Kwamakoma from Fort Beaufort, Enguba from Cradock, and then Solomon Linda from Pomeroy in KwaZulu-Natal. We need to create more awareness with our constituencies so that more colonial and apartheid names are changed in order to reflect the languages and cultural heritage of the majority of the people of South Africa. It is worth noting that books on living human treasures were published, and these human treasures were Dr. Thomas Chauke, Uwam Petrus Valboy, Mr. Temba Mahaisa, Ms. Grace Masuku, and Vo Esther Senyengwe. Honorable Chair and honorable members, please join me in congratulating one of our past candidates of human treasures, Mama Noria Mabasa, on being conferred an honorary doctorate in arts and design by the University of Johannesburg on the 19th of April. We are encouraged by this. The department will also be in consultation with Gauteng province in ensuring that the planned memorialization projects of the 3 women struggle icons are on track. These are Mama Margaret Gazo, Mamu Francis Bart, and Mamu Charlotte Makaite. We must always remember, one of our main targets is to make sure that the language, particularly the indigenous languages, are supported. In support of this initiative, we have launched a roadmap of milestones, which will assist us in tracking progress. We embrace the AU Assembly of Heads of State and Government decision to adopt Swahili as an AU working language and a communication language extended to the whole continent. This is one of the contributions towards the colonization and regeneration of the African continent, a better Africa and a better world. National symbols are a marker of a country's national sovereignty and are collectively used as a rallying point for national unity, cohesion, and national pride. South Africa has a collection of statutory national symbols, which came during the dawn of democracy. And we must make sure that we popularize this. For this financial year, we've put aside 2 million for this work. The Women in Sport policy has been developed to make sure that it redresses inequalities for girls and women in the South African ecosport. Cabinet has approved this policy. I want to echo earlier words by the minister when he was recommending the Proteas women's cricket team, which amassed the highest number of spectators in Women World Cup history. They raised the bar, and I want to commend the LOC chairperson, Ms. Ndambi Ravele, for this kind of work. Please allow me to also pay tribute to one of their stars who has just retired from international cricket, Ms. Shabnim Ismail. A good work you have done. We have to recommend and make sure that as we know that the Banyana are going to be participating in the World Cup, but we must also remember that throughout these challenges, we must take the opportunity to congratulate another woman of first, Ms. Lydia Munyapewa, on her appointment as the first ever female chief executive officer of the South African Football Association. Malibongwe. As indicated earlier, 2023 has been a great year for women. Let us pause and congratulate Ms. Kerstin Nieskefer, who made history by becoming the first woman to win the prestigious Golden Globe round the world race, becoming the only female sailor to contest the race without the use of modern technology. This is another historical moment, as it is the first time that we will be hosting the Netball World Cup in the country, a first for the African continent. The department has committed and is providing 30 million per financial year for 3 years for this World Cup to make sure that it is a success. In that regard, it is my singular honor and privilege to acknowledge the president of Netball South Africa, Ms. Cecilia Mulukwane, and her leadership team, the chairperson of Netball World Cup Board, Ms. Patience Shikwambana, as well as her other members of the board, the local organizing committee, the captain, Ms. Bongi Msomi, and the rest of the players, and the broader Netball family. I would also like to appreciate the cooperation between the department, the province, and the city of Cape Town in ensuring that this event becomes the success that we all want it to be. Collectively, they shall carry the aspirations of our nations, carry our flag, and make us proud. Thank you, Chair, and I now wish you that you can support the budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The next speaker is supposed to be Honorable Zungula, but I'm informed that there was an agreement in the Chief Whip's Forum. I would want to get a sense from the Deputy Chief Whip.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Indeed, there was an agreement that all portfolio committee members, including the members of the executive, will be participating on their budget votes, must be present in the venues of their debate. If it happens that a member, for some reasons, is unable to attend physically, prior arrangement should be made. So if there is nothing on the desk of the chairperson, then it means that member will forfeit his or her participation in this debate. I thank you.
Thank you. Guided by that, then we should be moving to the next speaker. The next speaker is,
Chairperson,
yes.
my team did make,
Let's hear him first before I can rule on the matter. Honorable Zungula.
my team chairperson did make an arrangement that I'll be participating virtually. I am not a committee member of this portfolio committee. I've got other committees that I am part of. That is why it makes sense for me to participate virtually. Thank you.
Honorable members, I'm advised that there was a belated arrangement made. And critically, it would be very difficult to deny a member the right to speak. There was a belated arrangement. Can I allow Honorable Zungula to take the floor? Before that, can I hear you, Deputy Chief Whip?
I'm not overruling your ruling, Honorable Chair, but we should be informed on time about this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. I think we have noted that. Honorable Zungula.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, we support the budget as the ATM. Minister, this is one of the most important departments as it is tasked with building the character of the country and defining our national identity. The unfortunate reality is that our country is defined by crime and social ills. We're a country that seemingly does not have a positive attribute that defines us. In the absence of progressive social programs, substance abuse is the order of the day. The department must work together with basic education to ensure young people take part in character building programs such as sports and arts. Grassroots sports and arts development programs will ensure South Africa is internationally competitive by nurturing talent from an early age. Such development programs must not only cater for private schools, but also township and rural schools where social ills are more prevalent. Local football associations remain underfunded, making it difficult for them to operate, whilst on the other hand, Gauteng Development League is reserved for those with the financial means. The department must devise programs for local sports coaches to enhance their skills so they may be able to transfer these skills to young underprivileged youth. These local sports coaches dedicate their time and limited resources to keep our children off the streets with very little to no incentives at all, and this has to change. There is a need, Minister, for swimming programs in communities to address the rising cases of children drowning in dams, rivers, and swimming pools. Minister, in the 90s and early 2000s, there were various educational and community building programs such as practical work, self-defense programs, and were exposed to educational TV programs such as Soul City. In the present day, our TV screens are filled with sex, drugs, alcohol, crime, and violent entertainment programs. Therefore, the unfortunate events such as the Enyobeni Tavern tragedy cannot come as a surprise. Same goes for the high teenage pregnancy rates, normalized drug abuse by calling people Nyaope boys. This is as a result of the type of content that is consumed on our TV screens, which diminishes our society. Minister, you need to engage the entertainment industry so we may have more TV programs that are educational and contribute to nation building. We need TV programs that educate and inspire citizens to be patriotic, love one another and have ubuntu, despise all forms of criminality, and most importantly, programs that will encourage citizens to strive to make our country better. There are individuals such as Mamnabi Sakhotiwe, Utatu Celebration Tungwa, and others who can contribute in this regard. There needs to be deliberate programs to
Your time
advance
is
our
up,
languages languages.
Honorable
So
member.
this can't be a 21 September event. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Van Dijk is the next speaker.
Omval. Agbare voorsitter, lede van die huis. Die DA wil eerste Kirsten Nieuwshafer gelukwens wat geskiedenis gemaak het deur die Golden Globe Silverpaard te wen. Ook Pretty Yende met haar optrede by Koning Charles III se inhuldiging en SA Vroue Cricket met haar Vroue T20 Wêreldbeker eindstryd vertoning. Ons hoop vir 'n groter investering in vroue cricket. Hoe die eerbare Kotwa bevorder kon word tot 'n volle minister nadat hy impliseer word by staatskaping, maar in Ndlovu, 'n digter, filmmaker en vervaardiger wat ook daarvan beskuldig word, sy nasionale orde toekenning teruggetrek is, bly 'n raaisel. Minister Kotwa het 'n reuse taak. Hy moet die kultuur van die departement met 'n vakature-koers einde 2021-22 van 19,7% verander om kommunikasie op te knap en werklik te luister na die bekommernisse van die bedryf. Daarmee verwys ek nie na die swak terugvoering wat ontvang word op skriftelike vrae of briewe aan die departement, SASCOC en federasies soos Netball nie. Daar is reeds 136,3 miljoen belê in die aanbieding van die 2023 Netball Wêreldbeker toernooi en 9 miljoen van die 2023-24 Active Nations se program is ook daarvoor geoormerk. Tog is daar geen dringendheid om ernstige kwessies soos die misbruik van mag en onbillike prosedures wat mense se toekoms in hierdie en ander federasies raak te hanteer nie. Suid-Afrika het ongelukkig die Statebondspele vir die skaakkampioenskap aanbieding in Gauteng verbeur. Die departement en SASCOC ignoreer regspraak en weier om die wettige skaak Suid-Afrika bestuur te erken. Hulle is geskort, wetend dat die onwettige groepering nie hulle finansiële state beskikbaar wil maak nie. Geen finansiële ondersteuning aan die wettige groepering maak dat skaak vir baie onbekostigbaar is en uitsluitend. Net soos figuurskaats, waar die maandelikse huur van uitskaatsbane die totale jaarlikse minimale toedeling oorskry. Die minister se voorneme om op skoolsport te fokus word verwelkom. Ontwikkeling en blootstelling aan 'n verskeidenheid sportkodes op voetsoolvlak met die uitsondering van sokker en netbal is werklik gebrekkig, wat lei tot swak transformasie. ANC munisipaliteite versuim egter om sportfasiliteite wat deur MIC gebou is in stand te hou. Federasies is verder so onbefonds dat hulle nie in staat is om verskillende sportkodes binne gemeenskappe in te stel nie. Meer moet gedoen word om gestremde sport te bevorder. Minister, ons hoop u kyk met 'n nuwe bril na die Mzansi Nasionale Filharmoniese Orkees. Dit is onglobaar dat hierdie departement geen probleem het met die moontlike botsende belange van een persoon wat die hoofuitvoerende bestuurder is van die Nasionale Orkees, KwaZulu-Natal en sowel as die Johannesburg Filharmoniese Orkees, onder voorsitter van die Nasionale Kunsteraad en 'n befondsingsmodel het met geen kriteria of monitering daaraan gekoppel. Die DA se kommer dat die Nasionale Orkees die volhoubaarheid van die streeksorkes negatief sal beïnvloed, word bevestig deur 'n klag van die Johannesburg Filharmoniese Orkees musikante. Die DA verwelkom die departement se bykomende 44,8 miljoen oor die mediumtermyn aan 7 museums om operasionele befondsingskostes aan te spreek. Kommerwekkend is dat sommige museums met voor- en skoon audit ondernemings regresseer het. Die totale verhoging van die begroting is 52,2 miljoen met inagneming van die geprojekteerde inflasiekoers van 4,9%. Daal die begroting in reële terme en is die kumulatiewe groeikoers negatief. Die DA wil weer die departement aanmoedig om sy vroeëre verbintenis te hervat met die Duiwes Belastingkomitee vir die insluiting van die kunste in die artikel 18A van die Wet op Inkomstebelasting om skenkings aan die sektor aan te moedig. Die ouditeur-generaal het bevind dat gevolge bestuur, ondersoeke na beweringe van finansiële wangedrag deur departementele amptenare nie gedoen word nie. Ook nie 'n monitering oor nakoming van toepaslike sleutelwetgewing nie. Onreëlmatige uitgawes aan die begin van 2021-22 was 389,9 miljoen en 'n verdere 59,7 miljoen is in die tydperk onder oorsig aangegaan. Minister, die DA hoop dat u as nuwe besem inderdaad skoon sal vee.
Thank you very much. We now move to the next speaker, and the next speaker would be Honorable Hendricks. Noting the agreement.
Thank you very much,
No, I'm
Honorable
sorry.
Chair.
I'm sorry, Honorable Hendricks. I have skipped Honorable Adams. I'm sorry, Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, let me first greet our members in the House, our Minister, Deputy Minister, and members of the Portfolio Committee, our staff of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, and our guests, and lastly, our viewers. The agenda to drive the transformation of the arts and culture is crucial for our social and economic empowerment. We have been in a difficult situation as a country that has made this process to fall back, delay the transformative implementation and development of cultural development for the benefit of social cohesion and the priority of building a better nation. It is now more than ever that we are on a stronger path to encourage our support, our craft industry, including the participations that are dedicated to the arts and culture. Honorable Chairperson, we believe in impactful cultural diplomacy to empower the promote creative sector artists internationally. The department's cultural diplomacy programs expose our artists to various country creative industry markets, and in the instance of local artists, we train internationally. We must support the Africa Union Charter for African Culture Renaissance and Africa Union Agenda 2063 to move towards a united cultural diversity and Africa Renaissance through the department's creative and cultural industries. We note the key deliverables by the department to host cultural seasons with Egypt and Zambia, and the implementation of several international agreements. Honorable Chairperson, the support for the creative and cultural industries development is necessary to enhance the caliber of artists we have and the standard of an industry to produce the best artists. The department will supporting 15 local and international market access and 9 provincial community art development programs. We welcome the department plans to have community engagement, open social issues, at least 20 community conversation and dialogues are targeted for social cohesion and nation building. The provincial departments of sports, arts and culture have set an annual target of 65 for the implementation of the community dialogues. We are pleased to see the department will have programs such as 22 capacity building projects and 4 financially support youth-focused artist development programs and gender-based violence and femicide awareness projects. The Portfolio Committee noted that there are programs run in support of a number of initiatives against gender-based violence and femicide. Some of the contributors award the anti-GBV initiatives such as the Silapa Wellness Program, which is dedicated to provide physio-social support. We are in full support of the initiatives of the Kileka program to develop the necessary content and program that advocate against GBV and F and all newly complete legacy programs by the department. Secondly, the focus of the exhibition at the Sarah Bartman Center of Remembrance must include the promotion and protection of the vulnerable and advocate against GBV and F. Honorable Chairperson, we appreciate the department's intervention and investment in the creative economy. The Mzansi Golden Economy Program has been able to provide key economic deliverables of job creation and has been job creation opportunities to 12,000 and 36,000 from the Presidential Employment Stimulus Program for Impact. The Mzansi Golden Economy will support 340 artists to be placed in schools per year. This is important for the professional development of our artists and is therefore progressive in the transformation of the arts of our artists. We can note the research and development of our South Africa Cultural Observatory, which is an important aspect. Research work and statistics get us to the measure and how we and where are we want to be. Therefore, it is crucial to always invest and budget for research-based interventions, and they improve the department's planning and decision-making. The department supports film and documentaries telling stories of the history of liberation and heritage. We need artists and projects that aim at dealing with national agendas such as songs and films that deals with grief and social cohesion, transcending our social national boundaries as well. We are pleased as the committee with the rise of the number of projects supported in the creative industries through the Mzansi Golden Economy Program. Honorable Chairperson, the committee has been greatly concerned with delays of the social cohesion and nation building social compact, even after numerous consultations has taken place. The social partners should be encouraged to sign the social compact in order to strengthen the transformation and development part of the sport, arts and culture. The department has acknowledged that the social cohesion and nation building compact is indeed crucial, and that as the department, they were consolidating this as best as they could. This is appreciated by the department, and we hope the compact will be able to be signed and the department to give feedback. As chairperson, the department plays a critical role in the promoting of literary works through various library services and the promotion of indigenous languages. The promotion of a reading nation is critical if we are to empower our nation's social and cultural capital. Understanding our history and preserving our national heritage will define who we are as a nation.
Your time is up, Honorable Member.
I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank
The
you.
ANC supports it well.
Noting the agreement in the Chief Whips Forum and the right a member has to freedom of speech, I will permit Honorable Hendricks to speak from the visual platform, as there has been an arrangement with the table staff, though it came late, but because of the earlier ruling, I allow Honorable Hendricks. Over to you, Honorable Hendricks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and thank you very much for this opportunity and consideration. There's an extreme lack of sports facilities in South Africa's public schools. So public schools must be run by their teachers and not by sports organizations if we want to bring about the changes. The lack of sports facilities is more common in rural areas. National government must play a more effective oversight role in our provinces allocate budgets for sports and cultural facilities. The Western Cape will soon be hosting the July-August Vitality Netball World Cup for 2023. This will be a white netball World Cup because rural areas have been neglected. In rural areas such as in Drakensberg, it is most likely that poor netball clubs will not benefit from this world-class tournament. Poor netball clubs cannot even afford to attend any of these tournaments. Poor sporting clubs need more support to establish themselves, and they should not be left behind because of financial constraints. Alzama has written to the Honourable Minister to invite him to visit Drakensberg there in the Nepal area, where young girls are playing sports on open and unsuitable land because they cannot afford to travel to the former white areas to make use of suitable facilities there. We have also asked the Honourable Minister to sponsor poor netball clubs from rural areas to experience the excitement of the Netball World Cup to be held in Cape Town. I cannot understand how the previous minister and this minister leaves it to the Western Cape and to the city of Cape Town to make sure that there is a diversity of attendance at the World Cup and the legacy projects will benefit the rural areas. You cannot leave that to a city and a province that wants to be the 55th country in Africa. Honorable Chair, we are celebrating the Nakba this weekend at the castle. And District 6 is very close to the castle. It needs to be a heritage site. Minister must look into it because if it was a heritage site early on, Israel would not have continued with their forced removals and take it to another level. Honorable Chair, I want to also say that we know that South Africa has applied to hold the Soccer World Cup for women in the years to come. But at the moment, we find that there are no soccer stadiums just for women. They have to share it with the males. Women don't have the key to the gates of any stadium in the country. They are dependent on the mercy and the generosity of male soccer players. That needs to change. Again, when it comes to netball, there are no dedicated facilities for netball in rural areas, in villages, and even in towns. So women's sports, I heard about a so-called cabinet decision, but that is all thunder but no lightning, because we find that women don't have the keys to the gates of stadiums where they can be in charge, where they can be in control. We support the budget.
Yes. The next speaker is Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, House Chairperson. I thought you were going to take away the keys to the gate very quickly, but anyway, in supporting the budget vote tabled here today, the National Freedom Party wants to make some recommendation. And of course, the first and very important one is, let us not forget where we were and where we are, and who were pivotal in that role of liberating us today. Having said that, I think it is time that we recognize the contribution of the late Mama Winnie Mandela. And we believe one of the ways to do that, something that we have raised before, is to ensure that a statue or plaque of Mama Winnie Mandela is placed on this very important parliamentary precinct. And then the second thing I think we owe a recognition is to the first indigenous nation of South Africa, the Khoisan San,
And we've also requested that the Cape Town International Airport be named after Princess Krotua, the mother of the Khoisan San Nation. We think it is important that we do that. Now, on the issue, I want to just start off on the issue quickly of culture before I go to sports. It seems that as a result of us moving away from our traditions and our culture and being influenced by the Western's way of life, we are losing direction. We have a dysfunctional society, okay? Gender-based violence is on the increase. Violence as a whole is an increase. We think that from a school level, at grassroots level, we need to reintroduce our tradition and cultures so that we can redirect our efforts into a better society than we have today. On the issue of sports, there is no doubt about it that women's sports in South Africa lack funding. You know, I want to give an example of the artistic gymnastics, where a young colored girl from Northwest, I think it is, won gold, Lichtenberg, but very little or nothing is said. And this child won gold despite the fact that South Africa does not have any facilities for that kind of sport. And we need to encourage these things. But very importantly, we found a problem in introducing sports from grassroots level, because basic education believe the budget belongs to them, sports, arts and culture belong to them. You can't work in silos. You need to come together and be united, work together. South Africa has got a lot of talent. You see a lot of them in this house as well. But, but I think what is important is for us to come together. And lastly, I want to ask the minister to please investigate the legacy fund of the 1 billion rand from the 2010 World Cup. The NFP will support this budget vote. Thank you.
The next speaker is Honorable Joseph.
Honorable House Chair, Honorable Minister, Deputy Minister, Honorable members and officials of the department. Budget vote 37 is aligned to sports, arts, culture, and need to create the environment for the department and its entities to implement government policies for 2023-2024 financial year, which include participation of active sporting nation, a winning nation spirit, a creative and social cohesive nation, enhancing the arts culture. So this budget of 6.3 billion for sports, arts and culture from the overall budget of government of over 2 trillion is not enough. Honorable House Chair, let me start to acknowledge the South African jazz legend, Hugh Masekela, whose name has been placed with other legends in Utica Hall of Fame in New York, as well as Dr. Katrina Issa, who received acknowledgement from UCT for keeping the new language alive, for the San people, and a contribution towards the first new children's book. One of the entities linked to sports, namely the Institute of Drug-Free Sports, is highly valued at the World Anti-Doping Association. The South African Institute of Drug-Free Sports maintains the integrity of sports and athletes via respect for rules, fair competition, anti-doping education, and to promote the general well-being of sports persons. Honorable House Chair, the committee must inform Parliament that an emerging risk is at stake in terms of the World Anti-Doping Association, and South Africa is non-compliant. South Africa has until May 2024 to amend and update the legislation to remain internationally compliant, or we face far-reaching implications for whereby sports and South Africa will no longer able to compete under South African flag. We urge SAIDS, SASCOC, the Department and Parliament to ensure that new legislation is passed before May 2024. The committee has been informed that doping, illegal substance abuse is high and is very high compared to international standards, and that the main transgressors in some categories of the sports are bodybuilding, distance athletes, and rugby. There appears to be confusion over traditional medicine, and we encourage all athletes to consult before using non-prescribed medicine and not to use illegal substance to boost their performance. Honorable House Chair, on infrastructure, the following is important. Minister Zikalala and Minister Kotwa must come back to this platform to apologize to the Khoisan people for the Sarah Badman Memorial Center, which is still not open after 9 years. 169 million spent Eerste nasie mense, indigenous people are recognized on paper according to Act 3 2019 without a budget, without resources, without recognition of traditional structures. The incomplete Sarah Bergman's Memorial Center, as well as the derelict buildings at Robben Island, is a true reflection of what the ANC thinks about the first indigenous people. An embarrassment to the political heroes that sacrificed their lives on the island. And we note the increase of 82 million mentioned by the minister, as well as the 150 million that we saw on TV, but it is actually money that will be overspent because we have already spent enough money on that project. But the DA wants an action plan to fix Sarah Bathman and Robben Islands. Sports, arts and culture, from the smallest rural town to the biggest metro with big stadiums, from one person to a team effort, able and disabled people contribute significantly to, and directly and indirectly, to the economy and job creation. I take this opportunity to thank all sports, arts and culture organizations, schools, parents, the media and all provinces who week after week participate in mass sports that makes South Africa a vibrant and lively sports nation. I thank you.
Your time is up. The next speaker is Honorable Malumane.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Greetings to our Minister, good enough, Zizekotwa, our Deputy Minister, Bamunotawe Mafu, our lovely Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Mamudlulane, Portfolio Committee members, fellow South African, our Deputy Chief Whip. Good afternoon. The 2023 budget was tabled under what the Minister of Finance in the budget speech assessed to be conditions that are characterized by slow-paced recovery of the economy post-COVID-19 and having to deal with normality. The committee has had a deliberate interest in ongoing transformation of sports, arts, and culture. Ngiyacabanga ukuthi uMadlingozi uyezwa ukuthi sikhuluma nge-transformation. Through monitoring and scrutinizing the process of transformation for greater good of the people, as the South African National Congress, we have been highly concerned with the process of placing sports as a social and economic development sector. Infrastructure development of sports and recreation facilities in communities and schools is a crucial program in which we appreciate the department of being able to have this sub-program to provide technical support when constructing facilities, renovating and repairing them. It is encouraging to see work on sport infrastructure project for 50 targeted municipalities. I think Honorable Van Dijk, the MIG that we are speaking about, this is where it goes in the municipal infrastructure grant, where they do infrastructure, where sports facilities are built. We must come and debate in your municipalities when they are saying there's a debate when it comes to budget of the municipality. You must attend those meetings. That's where you'll speak about facilities. So if you don't speak about those, they'll beat other facilities. Honorable Chairperson, the limitation of township and rural schools from participating in sports due to limited and unavailability of sports equipment and attire has been a challenge.
Honorable members, you are drowning the speaker, please.
Has been a challenge for the department pre-COVID-19 and got worsened by it. The stride from the department of aiming at 2,500 schools annually for sports equipment and attire deliveries to previously disadvantaged schools and have been held full. And we encourage more schools to be targeted for this participation in sports in the MTEF. I hope, Minister, you try and increase the schools because especially in the disadvantage in the rural areas. We note and commend the 73 key construction of outdoor gyms that were able to be installed since 2013. That is service delivery, Honorable Madlingos. 73 key construction of outdoor gyms. That is service delivery, that is under the department. The indication of 30 more to be constructed across the municipalities is an indication that the departments have set key deliveries where 10 are set to be constructed for this current financial year. Honorable Minister, we should expand these programs in order to develop a culture of exercising and an active nation. Honorable Chairperson, The African National Congress has concerned itself with encouraging an active nation for the promotion of provision of good and better health. We appreciate the department on the facilitation of Move for Health commemoration that will be held tomorrow, the 10th of May, eKhayelich, Uzwil. Key deliveries to this are increasing participation in physical activity through sports organization being one of the ways. We will be promoting healthy lifestyle for healthy living with the department and community members. On Health Commemoration Day, we have plans as well to take the opportunity to promote the upcoming Netball World Cup to be held on the 28th of July, 2023 in Cape Town. We believe that all those who are having t-shirts, they must note that every Friday it's a Netball Friday. We must wear our t-shirts. In addition to the key program mentioned, we know that the department has several health coaching programs or projects that are going to have a positive impact on building and encouraging an active nation. Some of the notable being Mamkaul, the Big Walk, which attracts over 25,000 participants on the day of the event annual. This day is noted to take place on the first Sunday of October,
The speaker
which
must
is
be allowed to
declared
speak.
by TAFISA. TAFISA, which is the Association for International Sports for All. It doesn't discriminate, for all. As World Walking Day, ordinary and non-straining exercise like just being enabled to walk, chairperson, are to be considered extraordinary as they can push the nation to healthier paths. The Nelson Mandela Sports, Arts and Culture Day plays a role in the promotion of national building. The Nelson Mandela embodies peace, reconciliation, and unity in a rainbow nation and diversity. Holding sports tournaments on Mandela Day and promoting them for cohesion helps unite our diverse nation. Honorable Chairperson, there are about 295,000 people who are actively participating in organized sport and active creation. These numbers to us is an indication of the stride made to achieve and realize participation in sports and creation. We believe that we can get millions of active participants through social mobilization at the community level. We believe that the numbers will keep on rising. And with the necessary rise, the department, and for this to happen, alignment of the budget can increase such efforts. The plans of the department, Honorable Chairperson, to assist with the after-school programs for school sports through having former professional players in athletics, football, rugby, netball, boxing will be great initiatives in school sports. That's the initiative when it comes to sports. The minister has appointed 21 sports ambassadors to execute this great task. The skills that the sports ambassadors will bring the committee hope to communities that are well vested in sports structures. These initiatives are critical to keep our children out of the streets. Do you hear, Honorable Van Dijk? With less exposure to alcohol and drugs. Honorable Chairperson, we as the committee has a presentation and briefing from the South African Institute of Drugs-Free Sport with the department has been financially supporting and ensuring that commitments for the World Anti-Doping Agency and the Regional Anti-Doping Agency are upheld annually. Ngiyacabanga ukuthi Honorable Zungula uyezwa lapha ekhaya ahleli khona. Honorable Chairperson, sports transformation prioritization in support of indigenous games is pivotal. Investment and promotion of the Indigenous Games Festival are greatly appreciated and commended by the department, where 2,800 participants are recorded to take part, embracing the cultural aspect and African Renaissance. As the committee, we understand the importance of our Indigenous Games, and so we are looking forward to the Games to witness cultural diverse gaming. Honorable Chair, the inclusion of Indigenous Games in school sports is giving us hope for the transformative process and is progressive. We intend to support the National Youth Camp. We support it for its promotion of activism, social cohesion, and nation building among our youth. In that, using sport to achieve this, we continue to strive in abating social ills for youth, and so the delegation of 120 learners per province to the week-long camp by the department is essential for their empowerment. However, The department must strive to ensure that it can be able to make such programs to be implemented provincially, regionally, and ensure that as much youth as possible are not left behind. Honorable Chair, the department supports the youth 100% for the program of athletes supported by scientific support. 80 youth have been supported through the progressive program. So this is what we're talking about the youth programs that were supporting youth. Honorable Mhlong, in the sports. In conclusions, Chair, sports is an important sector of the economy which creates livelihoods
Honorable
of many
Speaker,
South African, and
there's
today's
a-
budget
Honorable
demonstrates
Speaker,
the efforts of governance.
Honorable Speaker,
Also, I
there's
just wanna
there's a hand. There's a hand. Can you take?
Chair,
What
can
is
I,
it? What is
can I
your-
ask a member a question?
You take a question, honorable member?
I don't have time. I have time to speak to the South Africans.
Okay, thank you. Proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Mhlong, as a member of the portfolio committee, you exactly know what we're talking about when it comes to sports, school sports. Truly, the department is busy with that thing, the MOU with the Department of Education, which they've been signed, is there. That means school sports is going. The other matter is that when we speak about the service delivery of the department, the sports infrastructure, yes, the department has budget and it goes to the municipalities. Our main focus as a committee is to do oversight and make sure that the budget that have been transferred to the municipalities, to the province, it is used accordingly as MIGs. So I think the municipal infrastructure grant, we need to make sure that as members of parliament, we do a monitoring over it so that we can see the
Honorable members,
facilities
please.
that are built by the African National Congress government. Honorable Van Dijk, you know.
Your time is up. Your time is up.
The African National Congress support the budget.
Honorable members, order. The next speaker is Honorable Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture. Over to you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Just to announce a gesture of goodwill, Chairperson, and the call to the House. As you leave the House, through your Chairperson as well, there are netball t-shirts that are waiting you outside of that door. To make sure that we indeed, as members of Parliament, we lead. But a special thanks to all members.
Honorable members, please, order.
My special thanks, Chairperson, to all members of this
On a
House.
point of order, House Chair.
A point of order.
House Chair, I want to challenge the minister that we as members of parliament
No,
don't
that's
need
not
that
a point of order.
t-shirt. He must take it to kids entirely.
That's not a point of order. Continue, Minister. Minister, continue.
I want to thank the honorable members of this House for their positive and constructive inputs from both sides of the House. One of my experience is the short time I've met with the portfolio committee. It's one of the portfolio committees, regardless of their political formations, they understand the role of sport. And you can hear by their inputs, those who are members of that committee, when they stand here. I want to sincerely thank you on behalf of the department and many others who listened to you. I must also agree with Honorable Joseph to an extent that we take serious the point I just made earlier, that the budget allocated to the department, it is not enough. If you look at the mandate of the department, if you look at the expected mandate of the department, it is not enough. And therefore, what I would have expected from Honorable Member Sandile Ringo Madlingozi would have been, in spite of the challenges, that you cannot therefore reject the budget, because you do acknowledge in your input, which I agree fully well, Honorable Madlingozi, because you come from that sector, that you do need more budget. I think if you were to participate, not as a politician, but as a creative activist, you'll make a lot of positive contribution. But I do understand where you come from, Khatebe. We had already the position of the Director General, honorable members, the advert went out this past weekend. We're taking a decision to fill all the vacant funded posts, including the one of the DG. We will soon have the Director General in the department. Our agreement with the Love Life is under review, and some of the issues that have been raised will be considered in that context. We are concerned about the state of boxing in South Africa. The point which was made by honorable members. We've already had engagement with the chairperson of Boxing SA, and we'll be meeting with them soon, not on issues of funding, but the issues of stability and appointment of the CEO of boxing, because we think this sport is a very important sport in South Africa, given where it comes from. Yesterday, honorable members, we were in Robben Island. Robben Island is the soul of South Africa's democracy. And therefore, it was important that we go to Robben Island. We must report that there is progress in terms of governance structures and in terms of oversight and accountability. We're happy to see what we had yesterday and what we saw yesterday, that indeed there is progress. Honorable Malumane, I'm pleased to announce to you that as part of the program to celebrate the life of our first democratic president, Nelson Mandela, the inaugural Mandela Marathon this weekend will take place in a place called Unu, which link it to Mvezo, as part of celebrating the 10th anniversary since the passing of our dearly president. Sincerely thanks. Our sincere thanks to other members who have joined us, like I said earlier, Mama Lillian Dube, Florence Masebe. These are the people who were champions and were pioneers about these bills, which will be finalized at the end of this month. Themselves are acknowledged. Thank you very much to members of the senior management that is sitting here in the room. Thanks very much to the Deputy Minister for all your support. And I'm sure, working together with members of the committee, will continue to lead South Africa and lift the spirit of South Africa and lift the mood of this country to make sure that South Africa becomes a winning nation. Thanks very much for all your support.
Thank you, honorable members. That concludes the debate and the business of this mini plenary session. The mini plenary will rise. I'm sure there's another one following. Thank you very much.
Recording stopped.